everyone. My name is Gabby Messer. I'm a third year nursing student, and I'm here with a few of my peers. We're going to do a little podcast for you.
I'm Sarah Millette, also a third year UNB nursing student.
I'm Kayla Holden. I'm also a third year nursing student. So a brief history of Avenue B. It's located at 62 Waterloo Street, St. John. They began in 1988, and their previous name was actually AIDS St. John, which opened up as a harm reduction facility. We ran on volunteers that dedicated their time to support these individuals, and they actually made the connection that the main cause of HIV cases in the city was due to people injecting the drugs instead of just gay men. And with that information, they began giving out new needles to people. And in 2018, they changed their name to Avenue B Harm Reduction, and they continue to supply new needles and other supplies, which we will discuss soon. And all of their information on the history of the facility is as per their website. Avenue B's mission statement is reducing harm, inspiring change.
So at Avenue B, we actually give out new pipes, both meth and crack. We give out new needles, tourniquets, vitamin C, which is actually healthier than what people who inject drugs would use, which would be something like lemon juice or vinegar. And that can with vein health, which is fantastic.
When they cook the drug, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We also give out cookers, which you can imagine that like in TV where people will use a spoon and a lighter to cook their drugs to inject. This is sterile, it's one-time use, and it's new for each person to use to kind of reduce that risk of transmission. And that's something that's super important about what they do at Avenue B we're giving supplies out for people to be able to use their drugs, but it's also new each time, so that way it reduces the transmission of HIV and other bloodborne illnesses, which is great.
They actually give out condoms as well.
Yeah, they do give out condoms, and I think that was a big part of where they started when they were AIDS St. John, was that stigma around gay men and them having sex and transmitting HIV, and now we've learned that a lot of it has to do with injecting drugs, which I think is super important to remember, not just gay men specifically transmit HIV, but that there's lots of ways to get it, and that this is a way to reduce that transmission.
Yeah.
So harm reduction in itself is actually really, really controversial. A lot of people don't agree with it, but especially I found, and I'm sure my peers will agree, that our time at Avenue B, we've learned just how important harm reduction is.
Absolutely.
So especially at Avenue B, harm reduction is kind of looking at the essence that people have used substances for many, many years, for thousands of years even. People have been having sex for thousands of years, and they're not going to stop. So how can we promote doing that safely to reduce the risk? Julie Dingwell, the executive director of Avenue B, put out a statement recently in a CBC News article that said that dead people can't recover. And that's a huge important aspect of harm reduction, is that we're helping people while they're in their active addiction to be able to do that safely, so they can get to that point that when they're in their steps to recovery, when they are finally ready to stop using substances, that we can keep them alive to get to that point.
Yeah. And Avenue B is all about meeting people where they're at, which I really, really like. And they come in and we can just ask them, like, what is something that we can do for you right now that'll improve your life, improve your day. Like, I just really love how they're all about. They just really want to help.
Mm-hmm. Even just giving somebody that's hungry a snack, it's so rewarding. I find Avenue B is a really rewarding place. It's been an eye-opening experience for sure.
And I think that the people who come in, they see Avenue B as a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
So even just learning about the lives of the clients that access Avenue B and hearing why they might be living in an encampment or how they started using substances and how open and honest they are about their lives, I mean, it's life-changing even just for the regular person, but especially as a healthcare professional, that you can see these people in the community. You might also see them in the hospital, and you might have had that chance to have that conversation with them of why they're in the situation that they're in. And I think that it's really incredible that people who use substances who might feel like there's a stigma attached to them because of the fact that they use substances, that they have this safe space that they can come in, be themselves, have conversations, get a snack if they want. They can get new supplies for their substances that they're using, and also just have people to talk to. that see them for them and that meet them where they're at and don't expect them to change.
And I love how the staff, they will come in and the staff will just be so welcoming to them, no matter if they haven't seen them before or not. They can bring them right into the break room, have a nice conversation with them about what's going on in their life and do whatever they can do to help them, which is really, really special.
Yeah, there's definitely a big feeling of safety with the clients there. I think there's a lot of trust that they've established at the agency for sure.
And that's something I've learned too, and I'm sure you guys probably agree, but people are slow to grow rapport in community, especially people who use substances, because of that stigma. I mean, we see at the hospital all the time with the stigma that even healthcare professionals label these people with. But through time, they've grown this rapport with these people, and they feel safe enough to be able to come to them when they're in a time of crisis and they need help, that they know that the staff at Avenue B is there to help them. And I don't think that you get that in a lot of places.
No, and it's the consistency of not being judged. It's not like, at the hospital, sometimes you may get a staff member that isn't discriminating against them, but you kind of never know what you're going to get when you arrive at a hospital in a situation like that. But with Avenue B, they're consistently patient, they're consistently kind to the clients, and that trust kind of just keeps building.
I think it's special even just seeing the in memoriam wall that's at Avenue B, just the fact that they know these clients so well that when they pass and things happen to them, that they keep their memory alive at Avenue B. Mm-hmm. And I think that just goes to show that the stories that we see in the media of these people who die in encampments or who die on the streets, that they're just another number and a statistic that people like to use to kind of label encampments or the homeless situation in St. John, that they're people to the staff at Avenue B, and that they are not just another number, that they have an identity and that they're remembered even with the stuff that they've gone through.
Absolutely.
And that wall that they have of the obituaries, they refer to it as the wall of our people. They call them our people.
I think that's really nice.
It's really, really nice, yeah.
So yes, as we know, Avenue B is all about harm reduction. So as our community project that our group has done, we've focused on another aspect of harm reduction, which is fire safety. As I'm sure we've all heard, there's been several fires in the encampments in our city and around the country, and the population keeps growing. So these instances keep reoccurring, unfortunately.
The St. John Fire Department has responded to over 400 calls, I believe. I was in a CTV article recently, just related to fires and encampments in the city.
Right. So as a group, we spoke with Diane, the program coordinator for harm reduction at Avenue B, and we came up with an idea for brick heaters. So these brick heaters are comprised of 8 brick. So there's a bottom level of the tile. Mortared to the tile is 4 bricks that have holes in them for airflow. And then the top layer of 4 bricks do not have holes in them, as the idea is to hold heat. As we know, heat rises. And then you put a candle in the center and you cover it with the terracotta pot. So we've given out barbecue lighters so you can safely light the candle in the center. And the idea is that the terracotta pot is going to hold heat. As we know, clay and terracotta holds heat. So long after you blow out the candle, you can even bring the terracotta pot and put it under the blanket with you to keep yourself warm. And that can last from 4 to 6 hours, that heat distribution. So now, as I mentioned, there's a candle placed in the center. So even if the unit gets nudged or moved at all, the candle can't tip over. It's secured between the brick. So the whole idea is, even if you forget and leave the candle burning, all the materials are fire retardant. So it's not going to be able to tip over and cause a fire.
So the Human Development Council actually did a point-in-time count survey, and they found 138 people who were chronically homeless. And I think that our project is quite important because even though it's not ideal, people are using propane barbecues to stay warm. People are lighting bonfires. And obviously those are going to throw a lot more heat. But ours is looking at that essence of harm reduction and looking at the huge amount of people that are living without houses and saying, hey, you know what? I know that it's not amazing compared to maybe what your propane heater or what have you is doing to keep you warm. But this is a safer way to do that. And really encompassing that harm reduction idea behind it.
Right.
So Fresh Start is actually an agency on Waterloo Street as well, and they work with this population to get them housed. And how we partnered with them is they are familiar with who needs one the most. So they were able to give us names and kind of show us where to go, where to deliver them. So we delivered one with them the other day, and they were really grateful.
So each of these brick heaters cost about $55 to produce. Actually, my partner is a mason, so that's how we were fortunate enough to have these units constructed. And the folks at Fresh Start thought potentially, depending on the outcome and the feedback we receive from the clients, they may look at somebody producing these units in the future.
Something that we also just wanted to touch on is the scrutiny that we have experienced just personally from our friends and family, from coworkers, from people that we've talked to about harm reduction. And people really don't seem to understand harm reduction, what it's about, and that kind of stuff. So it's been nice, even as nursing students, to provide that education to the people around us, for them to be more aware of harm reduction, its importance and its benefit. And another really interesting stat that kind of goes along that seems to shock a lot of people that we've talked to is that for every 3 people that they save from contracting Hep C, it actually pays for all of the harm reduction supplies that they pass out in the run of a year.
Right. So you often hear people say, is that what our tax dollars are going toward? When what they're not really understanding is that it's actually saving the government a lot of money.
I think it's funny, too, to hear people say, like, oh, you're aiding and abetting drug use. But people don't seem to understand also that, again, with harm reduction, people are going to have sex. People are going to use substances. So the entirety of what we are doing is allowing people to do that safely.
Yeah, and it allows them to prioritize their own health while they're using, and they have the right to have new supplies for when they choose to use. Just as a final note, we just wanted to play a quick interview that we had with Diane Kerns, and let's roll the clip of that.
I'm Diane Kerns. I'm the Harm Reduction Program Coordinator here at Avenue B, which involves running the needle exchange, working with sharps in community, peers, and training. So I do harm reduction training and naloxone training and a multitude of other things.
And how did you get started at Avenue B?
I actually probably started doing the work when I was in outreach ministry years ago, working on a lot of anti-poverty issues, but got involved in advocating for methadone, working with people who were sex working, people who were homeless, and so on and so forth. And when we were trying to get funding from the province, I was on the board of directors at that time, to pay for needle exchange. And when they started a pilot, I'm like, I want in on that to make sure we can maintain that funding. And so I committed to doing that for a year or two just to make sure that we got things right, and been here ever since.
What are some challenges that you face working here at Avenue B?
I think most people would think that I'm going to have some answer regarding clients, but actually most of my bad days are related to all of the systems that we have to work with that don't serve our clients that well. So mental health, access to health care. So whether it's the hospital or lack of primary care or services to clients at the location where they are because they don't fit in our box. Or social development, social services, income assistance, all of those things. If I'm having a bad day, it's because I'm having to battle with them to get some of the most basic necessities of life. And so we need to fix those broken systems or do it differently for the people who are out here.
And that is all from us from today. Thank you so much for tuning in.
And we also just want to extend a special thank you to Avenue B and Fresh Start for their help.